So after more than 800 witness depositions, after subpoenaing and receiving thousands and thousands of documents, the January 6th committee investigating the insurrection has concluded that Donald Trump committed crimes. No surprise there. But there's some new reporting that indicates the J6 committee is now trying to figure out what its next move should be. Is the time right to refer Donald Trump to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation and possible prosecution, or not? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So, not surprisingly, the January 6th committee investigating the attack on the Capitol has amassed enough evidence to reach the conclusion that Donald Trump committed crimes in his efforts to overturn the results of the presidential election, in his efforts to unconstitutionally install himself for a second presidential term. But it looks like, based on some new reporting, the January 6th committee is now wrestling with the question of what to do next. Here is the new reporting from the New York Times. Headline: January 6th panel has evidence for criminal referral of Trump, but splits on sending. And that article begins: the leaders of the House committee investigating the Capitol attack have grown divided over whether to make a criminal referral to the Justice Department of former President Donald J. Trump, even though they have concluded that they have enough evidence to do so, people involved in the discussions said. The debate centers on whether making a referral, a largely symbolic act, would backfire by politically tainting the Justice Department's expanding investigation into the January 6th assault and what led up to it. And friends, here's the most important part from my perspective. Since last summer, a team of former federal prosecutors working for the committee has focused on documenting the attack and the preceding efforts by Mr. Trump and his allies to reverse his defeat in the 2020 election. The panel plans to issue a detailed report on its findings, but in recent months, it has regularly signaled that it was also weighing a criminal referral that would pressure Attorney General Merrick B. Garland to open a criminal investigation into Mr. Trump. But now, with the Justice Department appearing to ramp up a wide-ranging investigation, some Democrats are questioning whether there is any need to make a referral, and whether doing so would saddle a criminal case with further partisan baggage at a time when Mr. Trump is openly flirting with running again in 2024. Now, frankly, friends, I don't think it matters all that much when or if Congress, the J6 committee, makes a criminal referral of Donald Trump to the Department of Justice. And I'll talk about why that is in a minute. But here's what I want to focus on first. The part of the New York Times reporting that says, since last summer, a team of former federal prosecutors working for the committee has focused on documenting the attack and the preceding efforts by Mr. Trump and his allies to reverse his defeat in the 2020 election. So, back in August, there was a press release issued by the J6 committee, by the chairman, Benny Thompson, announcing that they had brought a chief investigative counsel on board, a gentleman named Tim Heaphy. Here is the press release that was issued last August. Chairman Benny G. Thompson today announced that Timothy J. Heaphy, University Counsel at the University of Virginia, will take a leave of absence from his position to serve as Chief Investigative Counsel for the Select Committee. Mr. Heaphy previously served as a United States attorney for the Western District of Virginia. And here is a press release that was issued at about the same time by the University of Virginia announcing Tim Heaphy's appointment as Chief Investigative Counsel for the J6 Committee. So friends, here's why this was such an important development back in August when this news first broke, that Tim Heaphy was going to be brought on as the Chief Investigative Counsel for the J6 Committee, because Tim Heaphy was not only the United States Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, he actually started out in the 90s as a line federal prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. You see, Tim and I started together as federal prosecutors in the D.C. office under U.S. Attorney Eric Holder. He hired us both very early on in Eric Holder's time as the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. And over the years, I got to work very closely with Tim Heaphy. So closely, in fact, that he took the lead on prosecuting what was the biggest RICO case ever brought in the courts of Washington, D.C. And it was a huge RICO case, and it actually got broken up into 3 separate trials because there were so many defendants. Tim and 2 of his colleagues handled the first trial. I handled the second trial with two different colleagues, and then I handled the third trial with yet another colleague. So we were in trial in those cases for literally years. And here's the thing. I got to see Tim Heaphy's work up close and personal, not only because I knew him, because we were both handling murder cases in D.C. for a number of years, but after he tried the phase 1 of that 3-phase RICO trial, I went in to try phase 2 and phase 3, and I had to absorb all of the transcripts of Tim Heaphy's work as the lead prosecutor in that case. And those transcripts filled up an entire, file room. And what I got to learn firsthand from working with Tim and then absorbing all of the transcripts of his trial work is that he is an expert investigator. He is an expert prosecutor. He's someone who is entirely devoted to both public service and the rule of law. So when I think about Tim Heaphy being the Chief Investigative Counsel heading up the J6 investigation, that gives me great comfort and great confidence that when his team is bringing witnesses in, more than 800 witnesses have cooperated, have testified under oath, albeit behind closed doors. We'll see a little bit of that once the public hearings begin, late spring, early summer, as the J6 committee has promised us. But I know that Tim and his team are investigating this as if it were the enormous gang case, the enormous RICO case that it is. They just happen to be doing it as part of a congressional investigation. But friends, trust me on this. Every transcript that's being developed, every piece of evidence that's being subpoenaed, it will all ultimately be incorporated into the Department of Justice investigation, indictment, prosecution, and convictions of Donald Trump and company for the crimes they committed against the United States. Of that, I am confident. Yes, we can all complain that it's happening too slowly, right? We all feel desperate, sometimes despondent, because it feels like justice will never come. But friends, I continue to believe to my core that justice will come. Yes, it's been delayed, but in the long run, it won't be denied. And the investigation being put together by the J6 committee, which is unusual because usually the Department of Justice takes the lead on criminal investigations, but it's being put together by an expert investigative team headed up by former federal prosecutors including Tim Heaphy, as chief investigative counsel. And I wouldn't say any of this if I didn't believe it to my core, that it's being done right and that it will be incorporated into the Department of Justice investigation and criminal prosecutions of Trump and company. I'm sure of it. So then let me finish up by circling back to the question of criminal referrals. Should the J6 committee start to make criminal referrals to the Department of Justice? These are only advisory. You know, this simply is the J6 committee saying, look, we've amassed all this evidence. It proves Donald Trump committed crimes. We are formally referring Donald Trump and this information to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation and hopefully a prosecution. But it has no legal effect. It doesn't bind the Department of Justice. You know, the Department of Justice, trust me, will say, you know, thank you, but we will follow the facts and follow the law wherever it leads. So I'm not all that concerned about whether the J6 committee makes a criminal referral of Donald Trump now or tomorrow or this summer, because the Department of Justice, as recent reports have shown, is already ramping up its criminal investigation and making its way up the criminal ladder to the command structure of the insurrection. And I believe that what the J6 committee is developing by way of evidence and testimony will only supplement the information and evidence the Department of Justice has. And it will result in criminal charges. I know it doesn't feel that way sometimes, friends, but it will. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.